it's safe to say that we all love professional wrestling. No matter who you are, where you are listening to me, if you're listening to this show, clearly you love professional wrestling. We all love professional wrestling for one reason or another. Wrestling is in our hearts. Wrestling is in our souls. The normal fan, the crazy fan, and everybody in between, we all love professional wrestling for, like I mentioned, one reason or another. Sometimes it's the retirement that pulls on the heartstrings of us fans. Whether we don't want to see somebody walk away, whether it's a career-ending injury and they're forced to retire, whether it's a genuine retirement and they go on into the Hall of Fame and we reminisce about how great a career said superstar had, going over all the accomplishments and the history-making moments, reliving the greatest matches that particular superstar had, making us feel good, taking us out of the real world for just a little bit. Sometimes it's just a genuine retirement due to old age, and they can no longer go at that level that they once used to go at. Sometimes it's a storyline. Sometimes it's the culmination of a storyline where good overcomes evil after months and months and months of build where evil has done bad and has beaten down the good. Sometimes it's the culmination of a new rising superstar on his way to being the face of the company. Sometimes that superstar is hated, but sometimes that superstar is also well-loved. On his way to a major world championship at Wrestlemania, becoming the man. Either way you look at it, it elicited a reaction. Sometimes it could be the work of a great promo, aka CM Punk, that just elicits such a reaction. Sometimes you don't know if it's real. Sometimes you don't know if it's in the script or anywhere in between. It still got the job done, and it still was hidden with truth that made the fan react. Or it was like it was on Monday night. Real life situation. We have all welcomed Becky Lynch into our homes. For better or worse, Becky Lynch was one of the most beloved WWE superstars, still is. I'm acting as if she is fully retired from pro wrestling. It's not the case. She will be back. But another instance in which I can add to that list is Becky Lynch. The realism of Becky Lynch and what she did and what she said on Monday after becoming the top female, the top superstar in WWE, has now taken a step back, needs to step away, go home, because real life has now come into play. And that in itself has elicited a reaction, and a reaction like I have not seen in a very, very long time. Good, bad, and everybody in between. Becky Lynch announced her pregnancy on Monday Night Raw. She vacated the Raw Women's Championship, and Asuka is now the woman, or the new man, I should say. Not really. You guys get my point. She is now the number one target on Monday Night Raw in the Raw Women's division. The reaction that Becky Lynch elicited on Raw, it's amazing, man. I really don't know how to put it into words. Some of it was downright creepy. Some of it was downright pathetic. Some of it was scary. And some of it was like me. Some of it was like me. I'm the in-between portion of that audience. I think this is a good thing. I think this is a great thing, in fact, that Becky Lynch is going away. And this is the reality of the situation. Becky Lynch going away is a good thing for WWE. It's a good thing for the overall health of the women's division. And Becky Lynch being off TV, it's amazing, like I said, man. I had people email me, legitimately email me, saying to me, complaining to me, as if I have anything to do with how terrible this show is, emailing me and telling me that they're not watching WWE or pro wrestling anymore because their favorite, Becky Lynch, is going away. This is what it took for you to finally step away from World Wrestling Entertainment. Becky Lynch going away? To have a life? To have a child? I mean, bro, if that's what it took for you to walk away, I mean, I don't know. There's something wrong with you. Honestly. Then there are people who are in the camp of, how dare you? How dare you go away? And yada, 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 right? As if Becky Lynch can't do what she wants and can't go and start a family. These are the people that are self-righteous in every sense of the word, and they want to be entertained without a single care in the world for anybody else. It's the same as if I got everybody, since I've been having Jesse and Ticket Drew on the show, how dare you have guests on the show? I come here for you. How dare you get another opinion on this show? I watch this channel for you and you only. Well, thank you, Mr. Content YouTube Manager that I never once seen in my entire life. I must be paying you handsomely for you to give me fucking advice that nobody gives a shit about. Those are the people. Are the scary, pathetic people. I'm the in-between. This is the biggest story in WWE. This will be the biggest story in WWE all year. Becky Lynch walking away from the top spot. She was the highest earner for WWE in the women's division. Walking away from the biggest spot that she will ever see in her entire career. Walking away from the prime of her career. But you gotta think what Rebecca Quinn has been thinking about. Put yourself in Rebecca Quinn's shoes. Is it wrong for her to go away? I don't think so. Does she think that she's doing wrong? I don't think so. She's a woman. She wants to have a family. She wants to have a child. She wants to be a mother. How dare anybody say Rebecca Quinn can't be a mother? Who the fuck are you? Seriously. People tell me to get off my high horse. Get the fuck off your high horse, man. Seriously. I honestly think, put yourself in that woman's shoes. I honestly think, yes, she is heartbroken from walking away from her one true love. And I'm not talking about the Messiah, the fraud, Seth Rollins. Her one true love is professional wrestling. And she's walking away from that because she has a new love in her life, and that is being a mother. Becky Lynch is probably thinking to herself, and before this decision was even made, I'm sure it was discussed beforehand, are you willing to give up your career? Are you willing to give up your top spot to be a mother? It was a tough decision to make, and she chose motherhood. I do think that she's heartbroken for walking away from WWE and heartbroken from walking away from the division that she wanted so badly to be the face of. After all the years of neglect and all the years of just working hard and being pushed down and being told to wait for your opportunity while everybody else was just moving past you up and down on the roster. Of course she's heartbroken from walking away. But really, what else is there for Rebecca Quinn? What else is there for Becky Lynch to do? She's achieved everything. After this, there's nothing else left for that woman to do. Nothing. She's never going to go on and be the Charlotte Flair who holds 37 world championships. She's never going to be the number one woman where she's plastered like Charlotte Flair on 4 different shows in the same week. Becky Lynch has accomplished everything that a woman growing up watching this product aspires to be. She paved the way for everybody else that is already in the industry and wants to be a part of WWE and wants to work their way up to that prestigious level. She's paved the way for every young woman watching this product at home, every young child aspiring to be Becky Lynch. She's paved the way for Raw Women's Championship. Wrestlemania main event for the first time ever. The cover of a video game, the face of a division, the highest paid female actor / performer in WWE history. What else is there for her to do? Now she can add another accolade to her already impressive resume. That's being a mother. That is the biggest story of the week. And I got every little bit of information in regards to Becky Lynch walking away, what Vince McMahon thought, why Asuka won the Money in the Bank briefcase, why they opted to give Asuka the Money in the Bank briefcase, though I don't agree with it whatsoever. And it, to me, feels like it devalues the Money in the Bank briefcase no matter what the fucking trolls and cretins on social media say. We're going to go over all that and why I think WWE could have done everything just a little bit better as far as tightening up that creativity on Monday night. Instead of just giving, WWE should have taken everything that Becky Lynch did for this division and make the next one in line work just as hard for what Becky Lynch built in this division. And we're going to go over that, and I got so much more. It's going to be, when you listen to the show today, it's going to be one of those podcasts where it's like, that's it? That's all JD's got? I got a couple of stories here and there. Not going to overwhelm you with a podcast today, but at the end of it, you're going to be so satisfied as if I fed you a Titus Catering 7-course meal. And we're going to try to do it in a very timely fashion. I got what WWE should be doing on their weekly television shows, man. Quality over quantity right here on Off the Script. This is episode 326. Part number 1 to start your weekend the right way. Of course, I am JD. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on the podcast. If you missed anything that I did previously this week, man, been busy as always. Monday Night Raw, AEW Dynamite, NXT, coming out of Full Sail University as we got the announcement for In Your House coming back. Make sure you guys check the description. Everything you need is linked down below. Raw was on Monday. Wednesday, I did the Dynamite review with my buddy Jesse. And Thursday, I was live. Minor hiccup in the sound. Everything else went swimmingly. But that is in the description below. And I was live on YouTube for that NXT review. So I would appreciate you guys go and check all that stuff out if you missed anything. We got some great stuff coming up this weekend. We got Off the Script this afternoon, SmackDown tonight, and the start of the Intercontinental Championship tournament on Friday night, SmackDown, and we got the rest of the podcast to round out the weekend on Saturday, so you got a lot to look forward to. Links are down in the description below, so go and check all that stuff out. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you please follow me on both. Hit that subscribe button, and more importantly, hit that thumbs up, man, down below. I'd really appreciate it. It helps the channel out immensely, and it's up to you guys to do the thumbs up. I can give myself a thumbs up, but it's not going to mean anything. It's up to you guys to get the channel out there in front of more eyes, more ears, more faces. It's on you. And I thank you guys for all of your support weekly right here on the podcast. Make sure you guys check out the Patreon page just for support. It's there. Never really push it. Never really an obligation. It's there if you guys want to support extra for what I do here on the channel, all the hours I put into making the channel the best it could be. Patreon.com/JDfromNY206. And today's podcast is brought to you by my good friends over at Harry's. I know you guys are looking like me in this quarantine stay-at-home, man. I ain't shaving it either. I'm not shaving this beard, man. My aspirations are to be like Tommaso Ciampa. Well, not really like Tommaso Ciampa because he's about to get his ass kicked by Mr. Cross. But you guys know what I mean. His beard game is on point. So that's what I'm going for. And the more I let it grow, the more gray I see, which I actually don't mind. makes me look sophisticated. But that's why I'm here, and that's why the cretins are on social media making me the talk of the town. So there you go, man. Harrys.com/scripts. Use the link provided down in the description. You guys can get yourself a value trial set on me. So make sure you guys go and check that out. We'll talk about Harry's a little bit later, but it's the best in men's shaving needs. Believe me, I haven't used anything else in about 3 years, man. Harry's gets the job done. And I want to thank them for supporting the podcast right here on Off the Script. Let's start at the top, man. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank was last weekend. I thank you guys for making it such a great weekend. The Money in the Bank review did excellent. 4,000 likes. So thank you guys for that. News on why Vince McMahon's office was not trashed during Money in the Bank, and I got several Money in the Bank news and notes. Some backstage notes from Money in the Bank. They are as follows. The Money in the Bank ladder matches were not the only portions of the show that were pre-taped. Now, you guys know that the Money in the Bank ladder matches were taped in the beginning of April. I believe it was the week following Wrestlemania. They were taped that very next week. So WWE had already taped those matches. That match, they were simultaneously happening at the same time. And they were already in the can for Money in the Bank and what we seen on Sunday. And that was the only time that they did it. One take, or not one take, but one day. They filmed it at Titan Tower. It took all day to get it done, but they got it done from morning to midnight the very next morning. So that was that. The other match that was actually taped was Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. Braun Strowman defeated Bray Wyatt at Money in the Bank. And the next time those two face off, it will be Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, versus Braun Strowman. Wrestling News reports that Strowman and Wyatt was pre-taped earlier in the day for Money in the Bank. The Firefly Funhouse friends surrounded the ring, and WWE, Vince McMahon, did not want to run the risk of accidentally capturing one of them on camera, meaning, I guess, the puppeteers. WWE taped this match in advance, and they didn't want the puppeteers to be showing on camera when Bray's puppets appeared during the match. You've seen Huskus the Pig and Abby the Witch and the Buzzard, right? So we've seen all those characters in the Funhouse. Rambling Rabbit was there, and all of those puppets were around ringside cheering on Bray Wyatt and telling Braun Strowman to come home. So WWE wanted to be very careful during that match's presentation. They had the puppeteers that they needed to hide so it didn't ruin the illusion of Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse. This is one of the few luxuries associated with WWE pre-taping matches in front of live fans. They don't really have any luxuries, but this was a very minor luxury for WWE and their match with Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. Now, Bray Wyatt and The Fiend are more than likely going to challenge Braun Strowman again. Nobody knows when. We don't know if WWE is going to take this match into the next pay-per-view, Backlash, or they're going to wait to further this storyline. But I feel like it's already on its last leg, and I feel like Backlash would be aptly named for Braun Strowman to challenge Bray Wyatt again. Or actually, The Fiend is going to come out and say that he wants a match, and can Braun Strowman do it? And Braun Strowman's the type of guy, the type of character, the type of champion I assume he is. He's not going to turn down a challenge. So, Backlash, all of everything that's happening with Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt is going to have a certain backlash to it. And that backlash is going to be now, instead of Bray Wyatt wearing a fucking red sweater, it's going to be The Fiend at Backlash. So, I think that is going to work out well there. And then that's when you take the title off of Braun Strowman, put it on Bray Wyatt, and then we can get Bray Wyatt into a title program that hopefully gives us a good vibe about his second title run, even though I look back and I still curse the heavens how the man should have never lost the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship to Goldberg. Happened when Randy Orton took the title from him. He should have never lost the title then, and WWE made the same mistake with Bray Wyatt again. Should have never lost it to Randy Orton, should have never lost it to Goldberg, and the world goes round and round. He was in the midst of a great run And WWE pulled the rug right out from underneath him for a second time. Otis. The news on Otis. He won the Money in the Bank briefcase to the shock of everybody. I don't think anybody really went out there and picked Otis. I don't think anybody said, you know what? Otis is going to win. I think everybody that picked Otis was like, you know what? I'm going to take a big gamble on this one. Because you had Baron Corbin, you had Aleister Black, you had AJ Styles. So WWE lined that match up with some pretty big names that could possibly walk away with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then fucking Otis wins the match and walks away with the briefcase. Otis, according to reports. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. Take this with a grain of salt. Otis will not cash in on Braun Strowman or the Universal Championship. Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles were brawling through the WWE headquarters and spilled into the office. They landed a few shots on each other, and then they stopped and realized they were in Mr. McMahon's presence. He promptly kicked them out. Wrestling News reports that Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles were kicked out of Vince McMahon's office for a very good reason. It was pitched for them to do some kind of spot in Mr. McMahon's office. I guess just to give the inside scoop about what Vince McMahon's office looks like. And he didn't want to put his precious T-Rex skull in danger. Sources were told that a writer suggested having wrestlers fight in Vince's office, but Vince was not on board with having his office trashed because he doesn't want anyone near the dinosaur bones on his wall. So that is the news coming out of Vince McMahon's office. And you know what? I don't blame him whatsoever. I don't blame him at all, man. That is a $1 million plus piece on his wall gifted to him by his son-in-law, Triple H. And I believe it was for a Father's Day several years ago. And that was actually on the set of one of Triple H's movies. And he gifted that to Vince McMahon. So if anybody's wondering why they didn't do anything in Mr. McMahon's office, that is the reason why. And I don't think people have an issue with that whatsoever. All I have an issue with is Vince looked like the fucking Grim Reaper in that scene when Daniel Bryan and AJ were fighting in the office. But other than that, I found it to be entertaining. I laughed out loud when AJ and Daniel Bryan were like, I'm sorry, we're backing out. And then AJ's telling Daniel Bryan, slapping him on the shoulder, let's fix the chairs. They fix the chairs, and then they're arguing on the outside of the office. Man, you look like a coward in there. Well, it was you that told me to put the fucking chairs back. What does that make you look like? And then they start brawling again. And then Vince McMahon with the sanitizer. It was entertaining, to say the least. So that is the reason why you didn't see more damage being done to Vince McMahon's office. The overall vibe of the match, they made it seem like they were going to destroy the entire WWE headquarters. They didn't. They picked dedicated spots. There was a lot of running around. There was a food fight in one of the hallways. They dedicated a room here and there, but they didn't demolish the headquarters. So it was fun. It was entertaining. It wasn't like any other Money in the Bank ladder match that we've seen. And I don't think people should have taken it seriously going in. That was one of the things people were complaining about. I don't believe JD was entertained by this. Like, self-righteous fucking pricks, man. I was entertained by it. I'm not saying that I'm going to go back and relive it and rewatch it. It's not like the Boneyard match, or it's not like a classic Undertaker-Shawn Michaels WrestleMania match, or it's not like a classic CM Punk John Cena Money in the Bank match, right? For the WWE Championship. It was fun while it was on, while it was presented on Sunday night on the WWE Network on pay-per-view, and that is it. It took me out of everything I was thinking about for about 30 minutes, and I was entertained. Simple. I laughed at Vince McMahon's part. I thought the food fight was funny with Otis and Nia Jax. You know, it wasn't meant to be taken seriously. If you guys were paying attention to everything that was being said in the build-up, in the hype for this match, just based off the fact that, you know, Baron Corbin and AJ Styles, I think, mentioned it, or Aleister Black, that someone was going off the roof. Like, who the fuck is going to throw another human being off the roof of Titan Tower? So you know it's going to be some cheesy, clown-like, circus-like stunt, right? I don't know how WWE would have managed that. They did, and it was very weak. And then they had the food fight. And then Lacey Evans, I believe, was interviewed saying that she's going to be setting up booby traps for all the other women in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Who the fuck's going to set up a booby trap in a Money in the Bank ladder match? Just based off that, I knew I'm not going to take this seriously. At the end of it, it's not supposed to be taken seriously. WWE wanted to entertain, and I think they did a admirable job at entertaining. And it's a one and done. I don't think WWE is going to go back and want to relive this. I'm not going to go and relive this or want to go back and relive this. It's the quarantine era, folks. It's the quarantine era of WWE. So a lot of people are already, leaving the product. They're not watching the product. These are the lost months of WWE programming until things get back to normal. I enjoyed myself. And the Vince McMahon section of the Money in the Bank ladder match was entertaining, to say the least. Now, the Otis situation, I didn't really dive too much into the Otis situation and him cashing in his briefcase. And the plan is for him not to cash in on the Universal title. I got a news story, or at least I think I do. Let me check my notes. Yes, I do have it coming up later in the show. That's why I didn't really dive too much into it. So if you were wondering, well, JD, what about Otis? Otis is not cashing in on the Universal Championship. Who is he cashing in on? As per rumors, we'll go over it because I got the story staring me right in the face as soon as we get through this Money in the Bank stuff. So we got the pay-per-view ending just before, I believe it was 10 o'clock. It ended earlier than that. I think it ended at like 9:45 or something like that. The pay-per-view ended around 9:30, 9:45, somewhere in between. Vince McMahon wanted a shorter show, and the plan is for pay-per-view times to be shorter until they get fans back in arenas. The runtime of the show was listed at 2 hours and 23 minutes, so that would mean the show ended at 9:23 my time, Eastern Standard Time, which would make it one of the shortest pay-per-view events in several years. That was like NXT TakeOver, or older TakeOver. Takeovers now have been kind of creeping up to that 3-hour mark, but the older takeovers, back a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe they were running at 2 hours, 2 hours and 5 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes max. And that was great. Quality over quantity. This would be the shortest pay-per-view event in several years. There were a couple of UK pay-per-views in the 2000s that were a lot shorter. If you exclude those shows, you would have to go back to the in-your-house shows from the mid-90s to find a pay-per-view with a shorter runtime. Up until July 1997, the in-your-house pay-per-view events ran under, all of them, ran under 2 hours. You will not hear a peep out of me. So when everybody says, name one positive about the empty arena WWE shows during this stay-at-home phase, this is definitely one of them. Absolutely one of them. Pay-per-views being shortened from 4 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, to at max 3 hours, 2.5 hours. WrestleMania was 3.5 hours each night. I love it. The fact that I could come on here at 9:30, 9:45, do a live review and just call it a night after an hour and a half, I'm good, bro. I think that's great. So hopefully WWE keeps that up. I would love. Now, I want fans. That's the obvious trade-off. You want fans? It's going to be a little bit longer. Fine. Can't be too much longer. But imagine if we get no fans for SummerSlam. And we go into SummerSlam, and SummerSlam is only 3 hours, 3.5 hours. On top of everything else that we've seen in years prior, SummerSlam has been eclipsing 6.5 hours. I'll take it. I would absolutely be thrilled if SummerSlam was 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I would love that, man. RTruth, he was booked in a match against MVP. This was a strange decision for a lot of fans. Didn't make any sense because MVP was just transitioned into a managerial role. The match was about to start, and then Bobby Lashley came down. He gave MVP the night off, and Lashley squashed RTruth very quickly. Pretty much a Monday Night Raw match or WWE Superstars match on pay-per-view. Not really needed, not necessary whatsoever. Dave Meltzer noted that this match was there in order to get Bobby Lashley over and create some comedy. RTruth was coming down and doing his what's up in an empty arena. That was pretty comical. Bobby Lashley getting his win in this way would indicate that WWE is still pushing him as a solid force on Monday Night Raw. Now, I said this on my Money in the Bank review, and it seems to line up with what Meltzer said, because I said it on Sunday without any prior knowledge to what Meltzer was going to say or what Meltzer had already said on his podcast when he did the review with Brian Alvarez on Observer Live. But I mentioned on my Money in the Bank review that Bobby Lashley was given this match as a make-good because he ran through Titus O'Neil, Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, and he beat the shit out of Humberto Carrillo on Monday Night Raw in that gauntlet match to qualify, the last chance gauntlet match to qualify for the Money in the Bank, and he got himself disqualified after squashing 3 guys and then not getting past little old Humberto Carrillo. So WWE said, you know what, looking back at that, it was kind of silly for us to do that. Why Humberto was even in there, I don't know. Humberto is like the sore thumb. He's like the fucking, he's like the thorn in everybody's ass in that match. Bobby Lashley lost. He had to go home. Humberto got past him. He buried, well, WWE buried, but he aided in burying Angel Garza and Austin Theory on Monday Night Raw. That faction is now dead and gone. So this was a make-good for Bobby Lashley squashing MVP because no doubt about it, WWE looked at that gauntlet match and were like, we made this guy look so good. And this is how we treated him. Let's give him a squash and everything will be right in the world of the trash man, Bobby Trashley. So that is that. I hope to God that Bobby Lashley does not factor into any world title implications in 2020. And if so, Monday Night Raw might just get worse, folks. Can you imagine Drew McIntyre having a summer title feud with Bobby Lashley and Jinder Mahal? Oh, my goodness, man. That is absolutely nauseating. I was going to say terrible. I used the word terrible too much. Nauseating. It's horrendous. It's abysmal. It's an abomination. Jesus Christ. We'll talk about that. I'm sure I got news on that tomorrow somewhere in my notes, but that's what it is shaping up to be on Monday Night Raw. Speaking of SummerSlam, SummerSlam 2020 is no longer taking place in Boston, Massachusetts at the TD Garden. WWE has a backup plan, though nobody knows what those plans are. Last week, Boston Mayor Marty Walsh stated that the large-scale event like parades and festivals will not take place this summer. Thus, many people were under the belief that due to these comments, WWE would have to move the show to a different venue. According to a new report by WrestleVotes on Twitter, WWE has looked at a few different ideas regarding the show. With just 3 months to go until SummerSlam takes place, Vince McMahon does have a little bit of time to make a decision, but before you know it, he's got to get into the swing of things, and we should really start building towards SummerSlam. I would look at maybe the start of July, the end of June, to start building towards SummerSlam. You know, we got Backlash in June. I don't know what's going to happen in July. I'm sure there'll be another pay-per-view in July. I just don't know what it is at this point. Somebody will make mention of it in the comments. But WWE really needs to get on that SummerSlam build. Now, I say it every year, and I don't really put any faith in WWE to give us a real great SummerSlam build. WrestleMania's build is some of the worst of the year. And if they don't put any effort into WrestleMania, what makes you think they're going to put effort into SummerSlam? It's just the name itself. These shows have eclipsed the actual card in so many different ways to WWE. It is now a brand. WrestleMania is a brand. It stands on its own. People, they think, I am not in this camp, they think that people don't give a shit about what's on the card. You're going to go to WrestleMania because it's a destination event. And they're thinking the same way, and they have been thinking about SummerSlam in the same light. These shows need actual cards and actual feuds. I don't give a shit what anybody else is thinking sitting there. You're the fucking dummy who's going to go pay money to go see this shit. I'm watching at home. I want something that's actually going to materialize on TV. I don't want to watch a show where I'm not invested in anything. What's the difference between that and a SmackDown on Friday? It's a fucking pay-per-view. And WWE, it's going to be interesting how they're going to be able to sell the rights to these shows to an ESPN or a Hulu or an Amazon or Fox when that time comes. And what happens when they do is the build for a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam going to be better than what we get right now for $9.99 on the network? I don't know. So I hope WWE does a little bit better this year in SummerSlam's build, even though that is something that is wishful thinking. It's a long shot. But these are the ideas that WrestleVotes is now reporting for SummerSlam. Some of the ideas include pushing it back until September, looking for a new location in Boston, and more. This is what he said in his tweet, or they said in their tweet. Because we don't know if WrestleVotes is 1, 2, 4. We don't know. The hacker might be a part of WrestleVotes. We don't know. Now, what I've learned from sources on SummerSlam, WWE wants to remain as is. City of Boston has made it clear that is not likely. WWE is actively hunting for a new location with fans. Keep an eye on the South, Florida and Georgia primarily. Date May, and he puts May in capital letters, be pushed back into September. No word on an NXT takeover. Now, if September comes, we don't know. Marty Walsh could lighten up the restrictions on the city of Boston in September. We don't know at all. I don't even think these politicians know what the fuck they want to do. The politicians are being told and guided by higher powers. That's what they're doing. Everybody seems to be falling in line. All these cities and states like Massachusetts and New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, they're all following suit. They're all in cahoots. So we don't know. If one lightens up the restrictions, then the rest of them may follow suit, because that's been the pattern for the duration so far during this stay-at-home quarantine. If it's in Boston and there are fans and we are able to go, I might end up going, because Boston is only a 4-hour train ride from where I am, and I would love to visit the city of Boston again. Good brew, good friends, and maybe a possible meet and greet. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. So if it's Boston, I'd be A-okay with that. Florida and Georgia in August. It's going to be hot as balls, but I tossed around the idea, as did other podcasts or other content creators. Why not WWE do something on a private beach? Now, I don't know where the rumor came from. Maybe Hogan or Hulk Hogan made something of an idea pitch to WWE. Hey, brother, you could use my private beach, brother. Right? I don't know. Now, that was a couple of weeks ago when SummerSlam had been axed from the pay-per-view calendar for now, postponed. I don't know if Hulk Hogan actually meant that. I don't know if WWE is actually thinking that as a logical idea, but I think a private beach with fans, maintaining social distancing, as long as there are some fans there giving it a real beach-like vibe, a real party vibe, a real summery vibe, right? I think that would be great. Could WWE pull it off? I don't know. Will they do it? Will they explore it? Will they contemplate it? Probably not, because these guys are the masters of no fun. WWE is the unfit grandparent, the crabby old, get in bed at 8 o'clock, no TV, you can read a book, and no late night snacks type of grandparents. They're the uncool grandparents. Meanwhile, my grandparents were always cool. My grandpa was fucking the coolest motherfucker on the block, bro. He'd come home at 3 o'clock. He'd be up at fucking 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning getting ready for work. My grandma would be up with him making him oatmeal, right? Woman, make me oatmeal. She'd make him oatmeal. He'd be out the door by 6 o'clock. He'd be at work at 6:30. He orders everybody else around. He's home by 3. Takes off his top hat, takes off his jacket, puts on his pajamas, sits in his rocking chair, yells at my grandma, hey, woman, make me a ham sandwich. And then he'd throw me 20 because, just for the fuck of it. And then he'd give me candy, and he'd buy me Manhattan Special, and he'd buy me all these different cakes, right? It was a good time. My grandparents were cool. And WWE is the opposite of that. WWE is the opposite of that. And how many of you, I got to mention this because I love it. How many of you even know what a Manhattan special is? Probably, I would say I think there'll be one or two in the comments that know what a Manhattan special is. But man, if you haven't had a Manhattan special, you are not from New York. Please. You gotta try a Manhattan special. It's coffee soda. It's great. It's great. I love it. But I think a private beach is a great idea, but I don't think WWE is going to do it. So we'll see what happens, man. I don't want it to be, especially for an event like that. I think WWE's kind of learned their lesson. They got to go out there and do things a little bit differently during this down period. You got to think outside the box. They did it with Money in the Bank. They got to do the same thing, and they got to be just as creative for SummerSlam. Whether that's on a beach or in the sand, in the sun with a fucking palm tree, a couple of beach balls. That would please Cesaro greatly, right? Got to do something different for SummerSlam. So I will keep you guys updated on what is going on with SummerSlam, where it's going to be, if it's going to be in Boston, Florida, Georgia, or anywhere else for that matter. I will keep you guys posted right here on the podcast. But my take on it is let's get a private beach and really make it the biggest party of the summer. Let me tell you something, man. Times are rough. Times are rough. Raw sucks. SmackDown sucks. Times are rough. Not just for us wrestling fans, but Harry's is still here to help you look the best while saving you a little bit of cash along the way. Business on the top, and I'm in my PJs, so PJs on the bottom. Harry's has your grooming needs covered with high-quality blades as low as $2 each, delivered straight to your doorstep. Now, look at my beard. My beard is a little rough right now, but when I go and shave later this afternoon, I'm going to use a Harry's blade. I love the smooth glide of the blade. I love their shave gel with aloe because it smells fantastic. And you know what, man? I have very sensitive skin. I always cut myself using those other guys. With Harry's, I've never cut myself once. Get Harry's and a trial set delivered to your doorstep today by going to harrys.com/script. Harry's is a return to the essential. Quality, durable blades at a fair price, just $2 per blade. They've cut out the middleman manufacturing blades in their German blade factory that hones precision blades for over a century, which means you guys get incredibly high-quality blades at factory direct prices. In this particularly challenging time, feel a little bit better about your purchase. 1% of proceeds are set aside for nonprofit organizations devoted to helping provide access to better health care for men and veterans and to help support those in need. Those who need it most right now, Harry's is donating $1 million worth of shaving supplies to hospitals across the United States. Guys, if you're going to sign up using our link, harrys.com/script, this is what you're going to get. A weighted handle with a firm grip, a 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip, and a trimmer blade, rich lathering shave gel with aloe to keep your skin hydrated, and a travel blade cover to keep your razor dry and easy on the go. Or if you like me, it makes a nice presentation with your Harry's equipment in the bathroom. Go to harrys.com/script, guys. Start shaving better today, and you can't shave any better than Harry's. It's that point in the show, folks. It's that point in the show where we talk about, get this, SmackDown. Everybody's favorite show on WWE weekly television. SmackDown! Awesome. I can't wait for SmackDown every Friday. And if you actually say and utter those words, I know that you have some problems up here, man. There might be a few crayons short of a full crayon box going on. Now, I found it funny that Bruce Pritchard, you know, my good buddy Bruce, I love you. You know, Bruce Pritchard. He's at Money in the Bank. And I found it hilarious. Not only that he was there reprising Brother Love, I just started doing the I love you on the show. Right? Because that's my new Bruce. My new Bruce on the podcast. But I found it funny that at Money in the Bank, he walked out of the corporate bathroom. Now we all know where he's writing these shows and why they're so terrible, because when he goes into the corporate bathroom and does his business, he gets up to wipe his ass, hopefully. He looks down at his masterpiece. He looks down at his Chris Masters. That's where he's getting his inspiration. That's where he's getting his influence to make SmackDown as terrible as it has been on Friday night. And this has been a common thing. WWE, a lot of people, including me, say WWE doesn't have continuity. Bruce Pritchard has given us terrible show after terrible show. So they are indeed fulfilling that continuity aspect. Friday SmackDown was up. But it was still terrible for Fox standards. Friday was a tape show, the go-home edition of SmackDown on Fox, featuring the final build for Sunday's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. The show averaged 2.025 million viewers on Fox. That is according to Showbuzz Daily. Now, if we go back in the time machine, I don't know why we would want to, but if we go back into the DeLorean, SmackDown was terrible. Now, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, it was not all terrible. I actually enjoyed Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I thought Sonya Deville looked great. I thought Mandy Rose looked great. I love the fact that she didn't have an overabundance of colorful makeup on. She was selling the fact that she just lost her best friend. She's upset about this situation, and Sonya Deville really going in on her. Sonya Deville looks like a badass. But creatively, it makes me wonder how fucking stupid these people are on Friday night. Now, on Money in the Bank, we got RTruth versus Bobby Lashley. Nothing. Absolutely as worthless as they come, that match. I don't understand why anybody in this company would deem that more appropriate for a pay-per-view than Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, which is a culmination of a 6-month-plus storyline. A love triangle here between Dolph Ziggler, Mandy Rose, and Otis. And then Sonya Deville being the jealous one, or the one that wants to break away because Mandy is the blonde, that she doesn't want to live in Mandy Rose's shadow anymore. Broke away from all that. Culmination of a 6-month build, and they deem this SmackDown worthy, not pay-per-view worthy. Now, that is a slap in their face. That's a slap to the fans' face. WWE is telling you that Bobby Lashley and R-Truth belong on a pay-per-view. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville do not. I honestly think that the culmination of the storyline deserved a pay-per-view match. Would have been great for Sonya to be on pay-per-view. Would have been great for Mandy to be on pay-per-view. You probably could have added 10 more, 10 minutes total, another 5 minutes, another 6 minutes to this match. I was enjoying the intensity. I was enjoying what these two women were doing in the ring, and WWE just said, fuck it. SmackDown only. That's all you're worth. They fucked up. And the creative process, when I say the creative process is bad, you look at that and you know exactly what I'm talking about. That did not make any sense whatsoever. Fucking lazy. Miz and Morrison, hey. No. Forgotten Sons teamed up. 8-man tag, New Day, and the Lucha Loser House Party. What do you want me to say about this? The Loser House Party, the Lucha House Party, have been very impressive as of late. They are a talented duo. I don't know where Kalisto is, but I guess at this point, who cares? But Metalik and Lince Dorado have been doing some good work. It is just too little too late. WWE is pushing these guys for the sake of pushing these guys because they have no other teams in the division. Oh, we got those Lucha guys. Let's put them on TV. WWE doesn't want to push the Lucha House Party. WWE doesn't want to use the Lucha House Party on TV. They only are using the Lucha House Party because they have nobody else. And then they're teaming with the New Day. New Day are boring. Nobody wants to see New Day as tag team champions. The Forgotten Sons have been slightly forgotten on the main roster already. There's really no effort into building them up or getting them in front of the audience and getting the audience to care about them. No backstory, no vignettes, no nothing about the Forgotten Sons. And they got Miz and Morrison, who Morrison is fantastic. The Miz is awful. This was pretty much the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match on the Go Home show. So what they did here is they confined it in an 8-man tag, and they did everything that they were going to do in this 8-man tag on Sunday night. That's pretty much it. Another way for WWE to be creatively lazy on Friday night and do as little as possible. Tamina and Lacey Evans, two of the worst females in WWE, period, against Bayley and Sasha Banks. The less I talk about Lacey Evans, who looked like a fucking oil mechanic on Friday. I don't know whether she was a wrestler or she was getting ready to fucking rotate my tires, Lacey Evans. And Tamina, the less I talk about them, the better. Bayley and Sasha Banks, I love both of them. And I can't wait to see what they do with the Women's Championship. Rightfully so, because it's the only feud that the Women's Championship deserves on this brand. Awful stuff there. And then King Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Cesaro. Mr. Beach Ball himself, the Beach Ball Terminator, is Cesaro, against Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak. And they made a big deal about this mystery tag team partner that they would be teaming up with. And they kind of gave it away in the middle of the show, and then they kind of ran with it as if nobody knew what was going on. Oh, there's a mystery partner. For the sake of ratings, who is it? Well, you kind of revealed who it was when Daniel Bryan took Otis arm in arm to talk about Dolph Ziggler and Mandy Rose earlier in the show. Or what Baron Corbin said. Baron Corbin was calling him fat. He's a slob. Making fun of his weight. Did you hear what Baron Corbin said about you? And how you're ugly and fat. So, typical WWE there. And Otis was revealed as the mystery partner. And the heels won. The heels won. So that was that. And that is SmackDown, folks. That is the extent of SmackDown on Friday night. I know. It is fucking awful. It is just as... Imagine watching it. Imagine watching it. That was just me going over. I made it sound good. I made it sound more entertaining than what you would actually see on Friday night. So just tune into the review on Friday night tonight. The final rating was down from the overnight number. It was actually a 2.025 actual rating. The overnight was a 2.087 rating. This number is up 7.4% from last week's final viewership of 1.885 million viewers. That was the lowest on Fox since their debut. SmackDown on Friday drew a 0.5 rating in the 18 to 49, 0.7 rating in the 25 to 54, a 0.3 rating in the 18 to 34. Last week's episode drew a 0.5 in the 18 to 49, a 0.6. So they were tied with this week, last week. Then they went down last week, up this week in the 25 to 54 demo, 0.6, and a 0.2 rating. So they increased this week over last week in all demographics, just by a cunt hair. SmackDown was tied for number 3 in the ratings in the 18 to 49 demo on network TV this week. SmackDown tied for number 2 in the 18 to 34 demo, and ranked number 5 in the 25 to 54 demo for the second week in a row. SmackDown came in at number 8 for the night in viewership on network TV for a second week in a row, behind Magnum P.I., the Magnum P.I. special. I don't know what that is. Maybe it was a movie, an extended cut of the actual episode that aired that night. I don't know. MacGyver, Shark Tank, Blacklist, Dateline in 2020. Magnum P.I. topped the night on network TV with 6.871 million viewers. WWE wishes that they were as good as Magnum P.I. Never. They'll never get back to a 6.8 rating, folks. Never. Maybe when Vince McMahon is dead and gone, but I still, at that point, don't even think that's even achievable for the current WWE product. So that is the SmackDown rating. The show was terrible. What else do you want me to say about it? It's the same shit every week. I sound like a broken record. Otis. Let's talk about Otis. Big man Otis. I love Big man Otis. Blue collar solid is Otis. During an interview with Digital Spy earlier in the week, before Money in the Bank, Otis said that he would be cashing in, if he won, on the SmackDown Tag Team titles. He says this, and I quote. Now, clearly, you can't take this for anything at all. It's not worth a fucking piece of dryer lint in your pocket. Doesn't matter. Otis is saying this because this is what Otis is thinking. This is not what WWE is thinking. He says in this interview with Digital Spy, and I quote, "If I get the briefcase, we're challenging for the tag team titles," Otis said. I don't think there's a rule of what titles to challenge for, so we're going to challenge for the tag team titles, cash it in, and that's what's going to happen if I can get up that ladder. Now, clearly, he didn't get up the ladder at the pay-per-view. He broke one of the rungs of the ladder, did not climb. AJ and Baron Corbin fumbled the briefcase and landed in Otis's hands. That's how we won. Now, the Money in the Bank ladder match obviously ended with Otis winning, and he wants to do good by his boy Tucker. He wants Heavy Machinery to cash in the briefcase to get a tag team title match against the New Day in the near future. While that does sound good, I don't think that's the plan that WWE has. I honestly think that Otis, in WWE's mind, is going to be a singles performer. And I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't think, listen, I love Otis. I think Otis is great. Otis is the guy that we all want to cheer for more reasons than you might be thinking. He's got the girl. He was in a very organic, real-life storyline with Mandy Rose. Guys like Otis don't get a girl like Mandy. It's always written in the annals of time that you don't get a girl like that if you're looking like Otis, okay? It might be written like that in story, make good, feel good story, but it doesn't happen in real life. Very, very, very rarely does it happen. He got the girl. He got his revenge on Dolph. He got his boy in Tucker. He's got everything, right? And Otis is the type of guy that has not been shoved down our throats. He hasn't been treated like a Charlotte Flair. He hasn't been treated like a Roman Reigns. He hasn't been treated like a Seth Rollins. He's just there. And we already liked him to begin with based off what we've seen in the storyline so far. He's been himself. He isn't some manufactured, fucking produced carbon copy of an older wrestler. He isn't some manufactured fucking bullshit from the WWE plant, right? This is Otis. He isn't manufactured in any way, and that's why we love him so much. That's why it kind of really didn't bother me so much based on who Otis is. It bothered me that WWE has Otis in a tag team, a very good tag team, with Tucker in Heavy Machinery. They're taking him out of a situation that's going to really take him further than what it would be with just him by himself in a singles role. They took him away from a tag team where he is actually more needed than he is single. We don't need a guy like Otis to be a single. We got so many singles. And now that WWE's got this brand-to-brand invitation shit, which we'll talk about tomorrow, where does Otis fit into all that? There's no dream matches on the show that involve Otis. It is a tag team with Otis and Tucker that is more valuable than just Otis. Where does that leave Tucker? Why are you actively trying to harm a tag team and the tag team division by unnecessarily breaking up the most over tag team besides the New Day on WWE TV? It doesn't make any sense. No disrespect to Otis, but I've seen this happen time and time again. Otis fits into the category of flavor of the month. He may be that orange sherbet flavor of the month. That orange creamsicle. I don't know why I'm thinking orange creamsicle when I'm thinking Otis, but whatever the case may be, he's that standalone flavor of the month that everybody's going crazy for. And when June hits, Otis is not going to be the flavor of the month anymore. They're going to take that orange sherbet and they're going to replace it with a caramel swirl or a chocolate mint chip. Or they're going to replace it with a chocolate chip cookie dough or fudge brownie or whatever fucking flavor of ice cream. I prefer Rocky Road, but we're not talking about ice cream. Birthday cake, cotton candy, banana, right? Coffee. Gotta love it. Double chocolate chunk, Cherry Garcia. Gotta love it, right? What I'm saying is Otis has a very small ceiling on WWE TV. There's no way that anybody believes that this guy's going to be a world champion. The Money in the Bank ladder match, yes, it is something and has been created to give guys next in line that vibe to the audience, that they're going to be the next in line for a world championship. And I don't see that in Otis. I've seen that in AJ Styles. I've seen that in Aleister Black. I've seen that in Daniel Bryan, even though Daniel Bryan's been there. AJ Styles got added to the match late. Everybody thought he was going to win just based on what happened to him at WrestleMania and him coming back last minute, adding another heel to that match. I could have even seen Baron Corbin holding the briefcase. Otis, not so much. And I might be off. I might be off with this, but I do remember a Money in the Bank briefcase for the tag team. Or is that the Elimination Chamber? I might have my matches and stipulations all fucked up, but WWE has never really indicated for a singles wrestler to win the briefcase in the men's ladder match and then cash in for the tag team championships. That would be like WWE rewriting the rules after all these years. Now, I don't mind rules being changed and altered after a little bit, but something like that doesn't make sense. This is for a world championship. Otis can do good by Tucker. Fine. He's an admirable human being. But doesn't it make Otis look stupid if he doesn't cash in on a world championship? He can love his buddy Tucker all he wants, but you're downgrading the importance of the briefcase if you cash in on a tag team title and don't cash in on a WWE title or a Universal title. And also at the same time, and I don't mean this in any disparaging way, it kind of makes Otis look like a fucking dummy. Because I know that if I'm in a tag team and I'm a singles guy now, because I still consider him me, I might be the only one, I consider him a tag team wrestler. He's a tag team wrestler winning a singles men's Money in the Bank ladder match. He's a tag team wrestler holding a world championship contract. I don't give a fuck who my tag team partner is. Fuck the tag team titles. I'm going after the big dog. I'm going after the world champion, whether that's Braun Strowman or Drew McIntyre. So, I don't believe this story. I don't believe Otis is ready. I would have given it to anybody else. And who knows? I don't know what the WWE could take this and run with it. They could give Otis a world title match and have him fail. For all we know, Mandy Rose may turn on him and cost him the briefcase. I don't know. I would not be shocked by that outcome, but we don't know. He could fail. He could cash in and fail. Mandy could dump him. He could go back to Heavy Machinery, and then my take on him being the flavor of the month and them being over the flavor of the month, he could go back to Heavy Machinery, and then we'll pretend like none of this ever happened. But we don't know what WWE is going to do. We don't. He could put the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line with his brand-to-brand invitational. AJ Styles could be invited to SmackDown, and he could lose the briefcase to AJ Styles, who should be the rightful winner. Anything can happen. We don't know. But all I know is WWE did things for Otis on Money in the Bank simply out of shock value. That's all it was. I don't even think they know what they want to do with Otis and the briefcase. So that remains to be seen with Otis. I don't think he's cashing in for the tag team titles. It just doesn't make any sense, and it honestly devalues the entire meaning of the Money in the Bank briefcase. The Intercontinental Championship, speaking of devalued, the Intercontinental Championship has been vacated. Renee Young said on Backstage that a tournament will be held to crown a new champion with matches starting tonight on SmackDown. In addition to the tournament matches, WWE has also announced that MITB will happen, and Otis will be his, or their, Miz and Morrison's special guest on MITB. Otis will be on the show to talk about his Money in the Bank briefcase and what is next, man. And I'm sure Tucker is going to be a topic of discussion. Heavy Machinery will be a topic of discussion. The NXT Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair, will be on the show. Firmware update 9.0.3. Apparently she needs a recharging of the batteries on Friday. That's why she's there. I don't know. I mean, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, enough is enough. Everywhere I look, it's like a fucking nightmare. Charlotte Flair. See what I did there? Nightmare. Charlotte Flair. There you go. As a result of declining ratings, there will be some brand crossover on Raw and SmackDown, so you can expect, possibly, to see some Raw talent on the show. Great. I don't want to see Raw talent on Raw. Now I gotta see them on SmackDown? Anyway, the Intercontinental Championship is vacated. Oh boy. Oh boy, this has really been a topic of discussion here in the community. Now, as far as the tournament goes, you know, the title has no value. So whoever wins it is going to be winning a title that is absolutely worthless. Number one. Let's set the record straight. Let's be real for a second. The Intercontinental title is fucking worthless, folks. It means absolutely nothing. The history of the IC title has been ruined in the modern day era of WWE. Okay? Now, with the tournament, I could see a Baron Corbin. I could see a Sheamus. I could see an Elias. I could see a Drew Gulak and a Daniel Bryan. I could see a Nakamura. I could see guys like that. Jeff Hardy. And maybe one other. I don't know. I could see those types of guys being in the tournament. Who wins it? I don't know. I would not be surprised to see WWE give it to Baron Corbin, for all we care. Or for all we know. That would be terrible. You want the title to mean something, you're going to put it on Baron fucking Corbin? I could see Jeff Hardy winning it. I could see Sheamus. This would be a great opportunity for Sheamus to win the title. This would be a great opportunity for Sheamus to win the title and hold it till SummerSlam, and then maybe Jeff Hardy beats him at SummerSlam. They got to slow the brakes on the feud, though, because it seems like they're going full steam ahead with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. That could be your Intercontinental title feud at SummerSlam. What do you say, folks? This could be Sheamus's big win. The one title that has eluded him his entire career is the Intercontinental title. I think I just struck gold here. Will it be a good tournament? Probably not. When you got the likes of Elias in the tournament, how much of it can he really take seriously? But the tournament is going to begin Friday. Sami Zayn, no matter what you think, no matter what he thinks, no matter how you look at it, Sami Zayn is being punished. Sami Zayn is being punished here, folks. You might not think it, but that is the reality of the situation. Sami Zayn is being punished for wanting to stay home and put his health first on the list of things to do here during the pandemic. Fuck the Intercontinental Championship, right? Sami Zayn, his health comes first. WWE says, fuck your health. Give me the Intercontinental title back. Now, what I don't understand, this is the one thing that sticks out to me. Why does the WWE need the Intercontinental title on SmackDown all of a sudden? I don't get it. You put the fucking title on Nakamura. You had the title buried on Nakamura. He did nothing with it. And now you want the title back on SmackDown. For what? What does the title do for SmackDown, and what does SmackDown do for the title? You sent the memo out throughout the entire company. You're not going to be punished. You're not going to be held accountable for wanting to stay home. Everybody has the right to stay home and put your health as a priority first and foremost. When things get back to being good and you deem yourself ready to come back to work, you will not lose your spot. You will not lose your place on the show. From what I can tell, folks, Sami Zayn has lost his spot on the show and he's lost his Intercontinental Championship. So no matter what the memo said, and Sami Zayn doing the right thing, Sami Zayn is being punished. He was punished. They took his IC title away from him, and Sami Zayn has been punished without WWE coming out and saying that Sami Zayn is punished, because it would be a PR nightmare. Just give me my title back. Now, they'll probably make a storyline out of it when he does come back. He won't win it back, but they'll make a storyline out of it. And what is the big deal about the title not being defended? Now, I pose this question to you guys. If AJ Styles or Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or anybody that is in the upper echelon of elite in WWE were the Intercontinental Champion and they had the same mindset as Sami Zayn, I'm not coming back to work until everything is right, and I'm the Intercontinental Champion, will WWE take the Intercontinental Championship off of guys like that? I feel like that since Sami Zayn is the Intercontinental Champion and he's not those types of guys, that it's easier for them to take the title off of him than it would be those guys. There is a political hierarchy in WWE, and Sami Zayn is not in that political hierarchy, folks. There's no doubt in my mind that WWE would not make a big deal about this if one of the bigger guys, one of the more elite guys, were the Intercontinental Champion and they opted to stay home. I don't think so. When has the Intercontinental Championship meant anything to these people? Now, all of a sudden, it means something for your fucking show? The ratings are not going to increase because you're having an Intercontinental title tournament. The ratings aren't going to increase because the Intercontinental Championship and the champion is back on SmackDown. Nobody gives a shit if the story is not there. It's not there. And with everything that I just mentioned, Brock Lesnar could take 3 months off and not defend the fucking title, yet Sami Zayn is off of TV for a month because of quarantine and he wants to be safe with his health. And they're taking the Intercontinental title away from him. I don't get it. There's so much wrong with this situation that Sami might not give a shit. He might not. But in my eyes, I feel like WWE lowballed Sami Zayn legitimately because there's no way he's getting his spot back on TV. There's none. He's not getting the title back. This was a situation where they looked at him and said, you know what? Fuck him. Let's get the title back on somebody we actually give a shit about. Sami Zayn wasn't doing anything with the championship anyway. There was no plans for Sami Zayn in the title. So what is the difference if it's on him or not? I don't get it. I don't understand it. WWE has devalued the Intercontinental Championship so much in the last decade. It means absolutely nothing. It means virtually nothing. The Cruiserweight Championship means more to WWE than the Intercontinental Championship. It's been featured in much better light than the IC title. The North American Championship is being treated like the Intercontinental Championship should be. Mid-card titles on the main roster mean absolutely nothing. Even the U.S. title means nothing. The last time the U.S. title meant anything was when John Cena had an open fucking challenge for the United States Championship and gave opportunities to guys like Pac and guys like Sami Zayn and guys like Cesaro and guys like that. That was the last time the U.S. title meant anything. Now that it's on Andrade, one of the best wrestlers in the world, it means zero. Sami Zayn got fucked over. The title means nothing. Why need or why ask for the title now when you did nothing with the championship for so many years? It's like WWE needs an excuse. Oh yeah, remember that IC title? Let's do something with that on the show. We haven't done anything with that. We're so fucking lazy we can't write the show in a manner without the IC. Let's get the IC title back and do a tournament. Great. Now, I love tournaments. Is the tournament going to be good? Probably not. But I'll reserve judgment. Maybe they surprised me. The last tournament they had was the King of the Ring, and that ended up being pretty decent. Will WWE do the same thing on Friday? I'm not holding my breath, and Sami Zayn got fucked over. Major update on everything Becky Lynch, folks. Major update on everything Becky Lynch. Now, I got no more water. I was going to say, let me take a sip of water here. I got no more fucking water. Anyway, as expected, Becky Lynch made a big announcement on Monday. She announced in the opening segment that she was pregnant. This will be the first child for Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, who have been engaged since last August. Lynch has confirmed in an interview with People that she found out that she was pregnant in April after taking a series of tests, and that she's due in December. Obviously, with the recent findings of her expecting, the gender of the baby is not yet known. I'm sure WWE will make that an even bigger deal, just like they did the pregnancy on Monday night. How many times did they mention Becky Lynch was pregnant? I lost count. It was legitimately every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes. And then the days following, at least 6 times a day on their Twitter account. As if no other woman in the history of the world has ever had a fucking child. WWE's got to jam it down your throat and make the genuine moment feel like it's the most disingenuous feeling ever. It's awful. Absolutely awful. WWE does things and they just ruin they ruin every legitimate feel-good moment. So Lynch vacated the Raw Women's title. Asuka is now awarded the title on Raw, and she is the Raw Women's Champion. In becoming the Raw Women's Champion, Asuka actually broke a record. She became the first woman to win both the Raw, SmackDown titles on the main roster, the NXT and Women's Tag Team Championships, as well as the Money in the Bank, and the Royal Rumble. Now, when you look back at Asuka's career, I don't think we're allowed to use the term buried. There was a point in time where WWE looked like they were suppressing Asuka, and undeservedly so. It was so bad. It was so bad that burying Asuka was a thing. Talking about WWE burying Asuka was a thing. There was a point in time where WWE had Asuka lose to Alexa Bliss and Carmella, right? Teaming her with Kairi Sane and losing to fucking Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I mean, on what fucking planet? Does that even make sense? I remember the feud with Carmella and Ellsworth. It was ridiculous. Asuka looked absolutely terrible during that little phase. But looking back at her career, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Women's Tag Team titles, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, she's got a great career for herself in WWE. A legend in the making is Asuka. Now, Bayley has won all the major championships that Asuka has won, as well as Money in the Bank in 2019, but has not won the Royal Rumble match. In this regard, she is Asuka's closest competitor. This means that the only women's championship in WWE that Asuka has not won is the NXT UK Women's Championship, which is currently held by Kaylee Ray. Lynch, likely. We don't know for sure. We don't know who in WWE knew, if at all, they knew that Becky Lynch was pregnant, but PW Insider and Mike Johnson is reporting that Becky Lynch worked WrestleMania against Shayna Baszler, defending the Raw Women's title against Shayna Baszler while pregnant. And it was mentioned, if you do the math about the situation, this would also explain why she wasn't involved in any physicality after the event. You could actually go back to that match itself and why that match was so short and why it was so underwhelming. It was not what everybody expected it to be. And going back and looking at it, if I was to make a logical guesstimation here, I would say that Becky Lynch was in the very early stages of, you know what? This is something that I really can't do at this moment because of what's going on. And if she wrestled pregnant and WWE knew, it's something to think about as far as WWE's creative process. If WWE knew, why didn't they give the title to Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania if they knew Becky Lynch was, pregnant and she took the test and it was something that came back positive? Why didn't they give the title to Shayna Baszler? It's interesting to think back in retrospect now why WWE didn't go and make that decision. If we don't know if they did, but if they knew, why they didn't give Shayna Baszler the Women's Championship at WrestleMania and save us all this fucking headache. I don't really understand that logic. I wonder what Vince McMahon is thinking, if at all he cares about the situation. I don't think he does, but looking back at the match and why the match was so weak after everybody was hyped about how physical the match is going to be. This is going to be Becky's most physical encounter since Ronda Rousey, and it ended up being a dud, an absolute dud. Now we know why, because Becky Lynch was in the early stages of finding out, just barely, that, listen, I'm pregnant. Came back positive. Now, PW Insider has a report about how Asuka did not know she was winning the title at the time of the taping, and she didn't know that the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match would be for the Raw Women's Championship in Stamford, Connecticut, at the WWE headquarters. It was noted that WWE officials kept this news private until Becky Lynch made the announcement herself on Raw. It was also said that a number of people who were there at the taping on Monday, who legitimately came up to Becky Lynch after the announcement was made, everybody in that segment had no idea that Lynch was pregnant until she went into the ring and announced it herself. Lynch revealed this week that her baby is due in December, and also explained how she found out when she was pregnant last month. Speaking to PW Insider Radio, Mike Johnson stated that, as far as he is aware, Becky is the first WWE superstar to compete at WrestleMania while pregnant. He says on PW Insider, and I quote, "When she wrestled Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania at the Performance Center, she became the first ever WWE performer that I know of to work a WrestleMania while pregnant. It makes her a hell of a warrior, But it also might explain why the match was not the physical war that we all expected, but the physical, brutal monster and the physical, brutal monster of a match that we all expected. Obviously, the finish was a little safe and a little weird, and that match did not live up to what a lot of people think it should have been. But in hindsight, that makes a lot more sense, and kudos to everybody involved. I know Becky took a massive bump in that match, probably the biggest bump in the match, where Shayna did a huge swing on Becky Lynch into the announce table. I think she even posted it as soon as this is why I love Shayna Baszler so much. After that segment was over with Becky Lynch, she actually took a gif of that spot at WrestleMania where she swung Becky into the announcer's table at WrestleMania, and she made a gif out of it, kind of poking fun at Becky Lynch and the pregnancy announcement. That's why I love Shayna Baszler so much. She gets on how to work a legitimate heel and get under everybody's skin legitimately. I love it. Now, Mike Johnson said there is no timetable for Becky Lynch's return. It is certainly that whenever the man is ready to come back, he says they will welcome her back with open arms. This is exactly what he said, and I quote, "There's no timetable for her return. We are told, obviously, if and when she wants to come back, they want her back. This will be a major thing in her life that she will endure, and her life is going to change forever." Becky Lynch's life is going to change forever. Hopefully her pregnancy goes smooth and there's no complications, and they are both very happy, her and Seth Rollins. Lynch will be out of action until at least the end of the year. She is expecting in December, like I mentioned. Now, this isn't the greatest news for fans who love seeing her every week, but she was very happy about this new chapter in her life, and she wants to begin this path to motherhood away from WWE. Whenever she is ready for a return, it is a safe bet that Vince McMahon will be more than happy to have her back in the mix and have her back at work. Now, Johnson also goes on to say that, of course, there's no word on when Becky Lynch will make her in-ring return, but the baby, according to sources, Vince is giving her, all the time she needs. Vince is giving her his blessing, and the baby right now is everybody's top priority. They want Becky Lynch to go through this and be as comfortable as possible. Now, as far as everything goes with Becky Lynch, I mentioned this a little bit on Monday, and I think this is a great thing that she's moving away from WWE television. I really do. This is an unbelievable thing. Not only because this is a new chapter in her life, but this is a new chapter for the women's division on Monday Night Raw. Becky Lynch was, no matter how you look at it, no matter if you love me or hate me, Becky Lynch was declining in popularity. Becky Lynch was not as hot as she was last year. She was not anywhere near where she was last year. She fizzled off big time. And there was a lot of dependency on Becky Lynch. WWE got so comfortable with Becky Lynch being the Raw Women's Champion that they developed this dependency on her. They didn't take the title off of her at WrestleMania. They were hoping. The only thing I could possibly think of is that they didn't take the title off of her at WrestleMania, off of Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, because they didn't want the test to come back positive. They wanted Becky to be the women's champion. Though it didn't even make any sense whether Becky was pregnant or not. Shayna should have been the champion. This is a great thing. Becky Lynch was declining. The ratings were declining. Becky wasn't a draw. Becky was never a draw. Where was Becky a draw in her title reign? Nowhere. Nobody watched this show for Becky Lynch. You might have one or two fucking cretins out there that were big Becky Lynch marks. They got shrines of Becky Lynch in their fucking hallway at home, right? Posters on the wall, bottle of lube on their nightstand. I get it. You're a man. You're a fan of the man. Great. You think Becky Lynch is hot. You want Rollins to fucking drop dead so you can move on it. I get it. I get it. But the fact of the matter is, Becky Lynch was never a draw. Ever. Becky Lynch had one of the worst title reigns in recent memory. There is nothing memorable about Becky Lynch's Raw Women's title reign. Nothing. After Ronda Rousey went away, the division died. WWE had no desire to push anybody else in the division but Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey not being there, all they had was Becky Lynch. They had not one iota of an idea or a clue. Their best idea was Lacey Evans, and Lacey Evans was only there because she was blonde, and she's got a perky ass, and she's got big tits. That's it. That's why she was there. WWE wanted an immediate fucking feud with Lacey Evans, and they thought this was going to be a good thing, right? You nasties. Coming after Becky Lynch, and it actually hurt Becky Lynch's title reign. Lacey Evans was nowhere near ready. She's still green as fucking grass. Nobody really believed in her. Nobody was given a reason to fucking care or invest their time in Lacey Evans against Becky Lynch. Then they paired Becky Lynch with Seth Rollins because they just got engaged. Oh my God. There were a couple. They exposed that on television for their own reasons. Oh, look, everybody wants to really go out there and cheer for the new power couple in WWE. Trash. Then they feuded them with fucking Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin for 3 months. 3 months. The best thing about Becky Lynch's title reign was the fact that she took an F5, I believe, or what was it, an end of days from Baron Corbin. It was Rollins who got beat up by Lesnar at that paper. What was it, Extreme Rules last year? It's great. The best thing about Becky Lynch's title reign was the fact that she received an end of days and sold it beautifully by Baron Corbin. After that, they had nobody else as far as a heel foil. Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks was brought back quick, and as a heel, they gave her the heel turn to feud with Becky Lynch because there was nobody else. And that didn't even make sense because Sasha, upon coming back, should have been built up as the woman in that division. WWE was never going to let Sasha go over Becky. So they sacrificed Sasha. Sasha and Becky had one hell of a Hell in a Cell match. It's the only thing I remember from that title reign. And Sasha was moved over to SmackDown. And then Becky Lynch had Asuka. That was kind of unmemorable because WWE let it sit for an entire year. After 12 months, now you want to go back to it? Then they had Shayna Baszler, which I was excited for. It was teased at the Survivor Series. It was teased going into the Royal Rumble. It was teased after the Royal Rumble. The match was set. The bite heard round the world happened. Then WWE made Becky Lynch treat Shayna like a joke. Shayna won the Elimination Chamber. Everything was going swimmingly. And then WWE put Shayna Baszler in a match with Becky Lynch and still don't do the right thing. The title reign was unmemorable, folks. It was unmemorable. Nothing about the title reign outside of that one match with Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks brought out the very best of Becky Lynch. Sasha Banks brought out the Becky Lynch we've seen in April at WrestleMania against Ronda Rousey. And it hasn't been seen since. Not once. Now, whether you love Sasha or hate Sasha, you got to give Sasha credit. She brought Becky to the best match in this title reign. An unmemorable title reign. The facts are there. Becky has been floundering. Title reign, ratings, the overall popularity of Becky Lynch, people just getting tired of Becky Lynch, whether that is Becky Lynch's fault or whether that's WWE's fault creatively. They didn't really do Becky Lynch any favors by booking the weakest women's division in all of pro wrestling on both Raw and SmackDown. They didn't do Becky Lynch any favors. It's like they had a plan or a game plan up until WrestleMania. And then after WrestleMania, it was, let me read the cliff notes on how to book a fucking women's division. Hey, we'll worry about it next week. And next week turned into the week after, and the week after, and the week after. And by the time you knew it, it was the end of the fucking summer. And WWE still had no legit heels for Becky Lynch to feud with. Whose fault is that? It's WWE's problem, not mine. That's WWE's fault, not mine or yours. I'm only here to tell you that the title reign was a failure. She had nobody to feed off of. None. And when WWE had the ample opportunity to take the title of Becky Lynch with Shayna Baszler, they still didn't do it. Realizing that Becky might be better suited for a babyface run chasing the championship. They just kept the bad things rolling with Becky Lynch. And as time went on, people were getting sick and tired of seeing Becky Lynch as the Raw Women's Champion. The fact that she's going away is a blessing, not only in real life, legitimately, but it's a blessing to the women's division. It really is. Now WWE is forced to book someone not named Becky Lynch. It's amazing. I thought about this while watching Monday Night Raw. Shayna was really treated like a legit badass on Monday night. This is a woman that was buried at WrestleMania. This was a woman that didn't make the top floor at Money in the Bank. And now all of a sudden WWE wants to put Shayna Baszler in a spotlight where she's cutting a great promo. Where did that come from? I mentioned this on my NXT review while talking to Ticket Drew. Is it because WWE realizes that they now need to push women and book women properly, that Becky Lynch is not there? Imagine if WWE is booking Shayna Baszler out of sheer necessity now because they have to, not because they want to, because Becky Lynch is not there. Where did this tough, rough and tough fucking, we're going to focus on Shayna Baszler all of a sudden come from? Where did everybody come out of the woodwork and say, oh, Shayna Baszler is going to be resuscitated on Monday Night Raw? Where and how and when did that come about? Because as far as I know, she had 1.5 feet in the grave. You know? So now WWE's booking Shayna Baszler because Becky Lynch is not there. You didn't appreciate Shayna when Becky was there. Now you're going to appreciate Shayna because Becky is not there? Fuck you, WWE. Fuck you. I hate when they don't realize the talent that they have in front of them. Becky going away for the overall health of the women's division is a magnificent thing. Now, I might have jumped the gun a little bit. She's due in December. We don't know when in December. Obviously, she's not going to be in the Royal Rumble. It might be way too soon to be talking about Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 37 in Los Angeles. If at all, it will be in Los Angeles. We don't know. But it might be too soon for Becky Lynch to be at WrestleMania. WWE could save it for SummerSlam. WWE could save Becky Lynch and keep Becky Lynch off of TV till 2022 and the Royal Rumble, and have her just show up in the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble and go on to win the title that she never lost and had to vacate and relinquish to Asuka. Who her opponent would be at that point, I don't know. Again, on my Monday Night Raw review, I might have jumped the gun a little foolishly. You know, I didn't know when I recorded that video, when she would be due. Now that I know it's December, it might be a little too early. I said, WWE's probably fast-tracking Ronda Rousey. Vince McMahon's probably got Ronda Rousey on the phone as we speak. Get her in there. Have her win the Women's Championship towards the end of the year from Asuka, right? Or Shayna, whoever the champion is at that point. Have Ronda go into WrestleMania as the Women's Champion. Have Becky come back, feud with Ronda over the title. There's your one-on-one match that we should have got at WrestleMania instead of the triple threat match with Charlotte. Easy booking. But being that the baby is due in December, it might be too soon. And Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, you know, they're both full-time. They're in the middle of 5-year contracts. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to take the baby with them on the road. You know, obviously, a mother and a newborn baby is going to want to be home. There's going to be a process where she just needs to be home with the baby. You know, Rollins is not going to be home. It's going to be a very difficult situation. You know, Rollins is going to be given time off when necessary. But right now, Rollins is going to work through all of this and going to be a good little soldier for WWE. But it might be too soon for Becky Lynch to come back for WrestleMania. I honestly don't think that she's going to be back to the spot that she was in at all. You know, you could easily slide her in there, but, you know, it's going to be one of those situations where she was on a roll. You take her off TV for a year and a half. It's not going to be as easy as that just to slide her back into the thick of things. She's not going to be, you know, that Becky Lynch. She's going to be mom Becky Lynch. She's going to be part-time Becky Lynch. She's going to be operating on a Bella-like schedule, you know? It's not going to be Becky Lynch full-time. You're not going to give a woman like that, after having a kid and wanting to start a family and a life and motherhood, you're not going to give them everything that they once had. It's stupid. It's a stupid business move. I'm not saying that Becky Lynch is not going to be a top name. She will be a top name, but she will be more of a part-time top name. She's not going to be the full-time man that you know she is now. So it's going to be difficult to, have her just slide into the thick of things and be on the road 300 days a year and get that spot back that she once had. It's not going to be like that. You guys are going to be in for a rude awakening when Becky Lynch doesn't have the top spot every single week on Monday night. This is the opportunity for WWE to build up an Asuka, build up a Shayna, build up a Toni Storm, build up a Liv Morgan, build up a Ruby Riott, build up an Ember Moon when she comes back. Use Sasha the way that Sasha should be used. WWE has a lot of talented women on that roster. Bianca Belair is another one, another face of a division, potentially, in Bianca Belair. WWE's got a lot of options. They don't need Becky Lynch. In fact, I'm glad Becky Lynch is going away because I'm all for new talent blossoming up. I'm all for WWE finding the next Becky Lynch. It's going to be humanly impossible for these people to do anything right, but the hope is there to find the next Becky Lynch. That is their priority. That should be their mission. Find the next Becky Lynch. Now, when Becky comes back, not only is it good for the overall health of the division, but Becky Lynch is going to be... This is what people don't understand. You're crying and you're heartbroken. You're not watching the show now. But when Becky Lynch comes back, look at all the boring and the formulaic. Look at all the ordinary that Becky Lynch was kind of emanating out there to the audience. There was nothing special about Becky Lynch anymore. She had fallen off. When she comes back, can you imagine the pop she's going to get when she comes back, when people see her in a possible Royal Rumble, when people finally see her back on WWE television looking all healthy with a newborn baby? Can you imagine the pop? She's going to be more over than she ever was in her entire life. And it's a storyline that you could just fit in so seamlessly into the Ronda Rousey storyline. If Ronda still wants it, if Becky still wants it, if WWE can still do it, it writes itself. Ronda stepped away from WWE to have a baby. She hasn't done so yet. Becky Lynch has another one over Ronda. I had a baby. I got pregnant before you did. The storyline is there. The WWE has all the makings for an epic feud here. And she will be more over for it than ever before in her entire life when she comes back. Now, what WWE should have did, if Becky Lynch means so much to Monday Night Raw and so much to the women's division, WWE should have taken the title and retired it. They should have taken the Women's Championship and retired the Raw Women's Championship. They should have taken Bayley's championship and kept it on Bayley, but had an interim Universal Women's Championship. Use that as a prop for Bayley. Bayley could carry that around as a trophy. I'm the real women's champion, blah, blah, blah. But they should have vacated that women's championship, retired that women's championship, and made one Universal Women's Championship. That's what should have been done when she won the title at WrestleMania, when she won both Raw and SmackDown. It should have been one championship. I said it then, I'm going to say it now. One championship. SmackDown's division is terrible. Raw's division is terrible. These divisions should have been merged long ago. Asuka being gifted the championship doesn't work for me. Asuka being gifted the championship does not enhance the Money in the Bank in any which way whatsoever. In fact, Asuka being gifted the World Championship, or the Women's Championship, the Women's World Championship on Monday Night Raw, actually devalues the Money in the Bank briefcase, goes against everything the Money in the Bank briefcase means, and I don't know why people are so lazy and complacent when it comes to Money in the Bank. Things like this don't matter anymore. You had how many cash-ins in the previous years happen on the night of, or legitimately in a week or two apart from the pay-per-view? WWE has not taken the briefcase since, I believe, Carmella was the one last to hold the briefcase for like 300 some odd days. They haven't taken that briefcase and had a storyline where someone's legitimately carrying it around for the entire year in a very long time, because they are creatively unable of writing good television. They are inept. And that's what the briefcase is all about. It's about the moment of the cash-in. It's about the unpredictability. It is about being the ultimate opportunist. And WWE wiped that all away just to give Asuka a world championship without her knowing. Yeah, it made for a great moment on TV, but WWE didn't factor this into the Money in the Bank ladder match, it was unknown to everybody, and it was known in that moment because they wanted Becky Lynch to make the announcement. Meanwhile, it devalued everything about the Money in the Bank briefcase. And it devalued Asuka winning the briefcase. Now, Asuka doesn't have an opportunity to win like all of the greats in Money in the Bank history. Money in the Bank is synonymous with Rollins cashing in at WrestleMania 31. If you think this is a good idea just to hand Asuka the Women's Championship and not have a moment like that, I mean, you're out of your fucking mind stupid. You don't value anything anymore. You're just like WWE. You're boring and formulaic, and you take the most laziest route to get to your end result and outcome. This should have been a situation where WWE had a tournament, not for the IC title. Fuck the IC title. Should have been a tournament for the Women's Championship. You got this brand-to-brand invitational now, where SmackDown superstars are going to be invited to come to Raw, and Raw superstars are going to be invited to SmackDown. Why didn't you send an invitation to the SmackDown women to come to Raw to compete in a 16-woman tournament for the Raw Vacant Women's Championship, or a Universal Women's Championship, where the brands are now one, or the roster is now one, the division is now one, and you have a tournament? Why can't you go that route and make it actually mean something? No matter how shitty the matches would have been, the overall premise and the concept would have made the title mean so much more. Asuka would have kept her Money in the Bank briefcase. You could have even had Asuka role play in the tournament, have a spot in the tournament, being that she is a top contender. Lose, sit out, have someone pull off an upset in the first round over Asuka. Everybody realized that Asuka still has the Money in the Bank. The winner of that tournament can become the champion. Asuka could cash in on the champion. It would make for a great fucking story, instead of just handing someone the Women's Championship. Lazy. WWE, instead of getting Baron Corbin on Monday to fight Drew McIntyre, you could have extended the brand-to-brand invitation to SmackDown for the women to come on over and compete in the tournament. Lazy, lazy, lazy. I don't know I do know because I've seen some people on social media, but these people are irrelevant. They are absolutely fucking operating with 0 brain cells. That's the way I would have did it. Becky Lynch means so much to these people. You just want to hand the title over to somebody else? Doesn't make sense to me. And I wonder if this has anything to do with it. Another thing I thought of. Shayna did not even factor into the Money in the Bank win. Everybody's like, Shayna's got to win. I was like, Shayna's got to win. Shayna got this in the bag, right? Shayna didn't factor. Shayna didn't even make the roof. Can you imagine if Shayna won the Money in the Bank briefcase? This is why probably WWE knew in advance what they wanted to do, and they had Asuka win it. Imagine if Shayna won the Money in the Bank briefcase and Becky Lynch announced that she was pregnant and had to hand the title over to Shayna Baszler. Would that have made for a feel-good moment? At least Asuka is beloved by a lot of people in the community, and a lot of the wrestling fans love Asuka. Can you imagine if Becky Lynch handed the title over to Shayna Baszler on that night? Would that have fit into a feel-good moment? I don't think so. I don't think WWE wanted to ruin Becky Lynch's moment there and announcement by handing the title over to her arch nemesis on Monday Night Raw. Someone who could absolutely, in the snap of a finger, take out Becky Lynch and dissect her verbally on Monday night. Wouldn't have made for a feel-good moment. So they had Asuka do it, and she was dancing around and doing whatever the fuck she was doing with the championship. Kind of cringe, but it was a genuine moment because Asuka didn't know that Becky was pregnant. She didn't know that she was going to announce that she was pregnant. But it was a feel-good moment that could have been so much more epic, could have been so much more creative, could have saved the whole ideal about the Money in the Bank instead of just ruining the fucking briefcase and getting rid of it again for another year. WWE dropped the ball. Everybody loves Asuka. I'm not saying Asuka doesn't deserve the championship, but there was a better way to get the championship on Asuka to make it that much more special. And WWE did not do that. Wrestle Talk. Wrestle Geeks over there. They have learned that Vince is not angry at Lynch for becoming pregnant and is fully understanding of her decisions to pursue a family. Everyone within WWE, including Vince McMahon himself, are believed to be very happy for both Lynch and Seth Rollins at this time. There is also said to be no heat on Seth Rollins at all. And while it looks he's still going to be on TV for the immediate future, They got him doing his old Messiah thing and going batshit crazy. They had him take out Rey Mysterio's eyeball after Rey Mysterio was thrown off the roof of Titan Tower. More than likely a match with Edge at SummerSlam. That's my prediction. So Rollins is going to be on TV. No pressure on set to continue wrestling as Becky's pregnancy progresses, especially considering the heightened risk of contracting the CV by traveling with the Raw crew. So nobody is upset. Everybody's happy. That is good to know. But, they may say one thing. It might be reported as one thing, but who the fuck knows how these people think internally. Sami Zayn was fine staying at home, and then they sent out a memo. Nobody's going to lose their spot. And what do you think? Sami Zayn lost his spot for the IC title because he's home taking care of his health. He did lose his spot. You might not think he lost his spot, but he got stripped of a title. He lost his spot. WWE might be saying something just to make good, but that's not really how they feel 9 times out of 10. Now, Asuka and Shayna Baszler. That seems to be where WWE is going with this. Now, during Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer noted that a Money in the Bank cash-in is a way for Becky Lynch to lose her title, but not in a fair way. The company has a lot of money riding on Becky Lynch, even though she's going to be out. You could say that this is a way for Becky to lose without losing. So they wanted to go this route, and I don't think they would have beaten her fairly anyway, says Dave Meltzer. It's also noted how running Lynch versus Asuka doesn't make much sense at all. A, because she's pregnant. It wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever. Asuka tapped out clean to Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. That being said, Asuka winning Money in the Bank now gave her an excuse to cut to the front of the line, and them giving her the championship put her at the front of the line. Baszler seems more likely to be the number one challenge for Asuka now that Becky Lynch is not going to be there. They might wait for WWE to have some fans in the building before they actually build this match. And that is what is being planned right now on Monday Night Raw. Meltzer says that Baszler will be Asuka's first challenger for the Raw Women's Championship as WWE begins to change up the women's division without Becky Lynch. Baszler has been heavily pushed by WWE for several months now, and many believed she would end Becky Lynch's one-year title reign at WrestleMania 36. However, that did not happen. Becky Lynch was able to extend her title reign at WrestleMania. Since losing to Lynch, Baszler has been completely just buried in my eyes. Even though she has dominated where she has been in the ring, WWE, as it looks, continues to have a long-term push planned for Shayna Baszler. Both Asuka and Baszler rarely lose clean, so something will have to give in their feud. Realistically, the two won't face off until Backlash on June 14th at the earliest. Now, they've never faced off in a singles match one-on-one, although they've shared a ring together a couple of times, and that was on the VIP lounge. That was at Money in the Bank, and at a 2020 Elimination Chamber final one-on-one battle to see who would win the Elimination Chamber, but never really in a one-on-one setting, away from a gimmick or for a championship. The Asuka Baszler feud won't really lack any of that intensity. Should be there. We're talking about two really hard-hitting superstars. Baszler is tough. Asuka comes from that Japanese strong style, so it should be a great one-on-one match when it does happen. And hopefully, WWE gives these two women the platform to take the division where it needs to be, or at least begin the start of a great division without Becky Lynch. And I hope that they really make good on both Asuka and Shayna Baszler because they need it. The division needs it. They need it. The Raw Women's title needs it. This could be a great feud, and hopefully WWE doesn't drop the ball, but that's the way they go. Or maybe they do Asuka versus somebody else and then save Baszler for SummerSlam. Because if Baszler's going to have another championship match, undoubtedly, she's got to win the championship. So you also want Asuka to have somewhat of a title reign. So maybe SummerSlam is the safest bet for that to culminate and get Shayna with the championship. And then we'll see what happens from there. But maybe Asuka gets a Ruby Riott. Maybe Asuka gets a Liv Morgan at first, right? So we'll see what happens. But I say Asuka versus Shayna at SummerSlam is the money match for the Raw Women's Division. And finally, guys, look at this story. It has nothing to do with Becky Lynch, or at least I don't think so. It has nothing to do with any of the women. At least I don't think so. But WWE had in the pipeline a major storyline that they canceled for now, postponed for now, until fans are back in the arena. They were supposed to have a major storyline that played out all summer and all spring, culminating at SummerSlam. Now, WrestleVotes reported this, that due to the CV outbreak, that WWE was forced to hold empty arena shows without fans, that this storyline has been put on hold because of that. It was described as being as big as the Nexus invasion and Vince McMahon's limousine explosion angle. It all comes down to there being fans in attendance to give a reaction to this said angle. Thus, the reason it was placed on hold. As of this writing, there's no word yet on what WWE exactly had planned for this storyline or when WWE will allow fans back at TV events. Things are constantly changing with the CV, but this is what WrestleVote says on Twitter, and I quote, "I've been told there was a major long-term storyline that was to unfold over the span of weeks during the spring and summer months, similar to the McMahon limo explosion or the Nexus invasion debut that was put on hold due to no fans in attendance. Crowd reaction was to play a major part in this angle." End quote. Out of everything that's happening on TV right now, I don't see anything that he could possibly or they could possibly be describing. Nothing is interesting as far as the main roster goes. I'm going to throw it out there. On what I think this might be. I think that this could have been for the debut on the main roster of the Undisputed Era. I really do think so. I honestly think if everything was the way it was normally, that Adam Cole would have lost the NXT title to Velveteen Dream. I think he would have been called up with the rest of Undisputed Era. I think they would have been on the main roster. And I honestly think that the WWE were to debut the Undisputed Era on the main roster and really make them the number one force to be reckoned with on the main roster. That's what I think this major storyline was. I can't see anything happening on the main roster that would really bring it to that point. WWE's done the romantic storyline with Otis and Dolph. That's not really a major storyline like a Nexus or a McMahon limo, unless WWE was going to kill off somebody, whether WWE was going to sacrifice somebody, with Rollins sacrificing somebody for his disciplehood, for his Messiah gimmick. I can't see anything with Drew McIntyre. Can't see anything with Jinder Mahal. Can't see anything on SmackDown with Braun Strowman or Bray Wyatt. Nothing is coming off giving that Nexus McMahon limo explosion feel. I'm going to predict, or I'm going to go out there and take a guess, wild stab in the dark, that it had something to do with the Undisputed Era. That's just me. And how that would have come about, I have no idea. I really don't. Maybe Undisputed Era and the New Day. I don't know. I don't know what it could possibly be. I really don't. WWE had everything they could have possibly ever needed for a great faction versus faction feud. AJ Styles, Finn Balor, the Club. Club was never taken seriously. AJ Styles is AJ Styles. He's great no matter what. Balor has his association with the Club, right? Then you mix in Finn Balor and Adam Cole and the history that they have over the NXT Championship. You know, Adam Cole's the longest reigning champion of all time. Finn Balor's number 2. Could have built off that. WWE failed to build a faction with the Club. I would have loved to see a faction like that dominate and really dominate the show and have someone else kind of push their shit in like the Undisputed Era and really make it legit and real and fun and just owning the brand, you know? It would have worked great with the Shield, to be honest with you, if the Shield was still together. Shield versus Undisputed Era. Could have been great with the Shield and the Bullet Club when AJ first debuted. WWE dropped the ball on that. WWE lost Moxley to AEW. Roman's off TV now. Rollins is a heel. They fucked up Rollins. The Shield just completely burst into flames. Could have been a great feud with the Undisputed Era taking down the Shield and running the yard, so to say. You know? Would have been fun. But I do think it had to do with the Undisputed Era on either Monday or Friday. More than likely Monday. But let me know what you guys think that major storyline was. And according to WrestleVotes, it seems like it's going to be a thing when the WWE has fans back in attendance. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. Very interesting stuff to look out for on the main roster with a major storyline happening on Raw or SmackDown. Guys, I'm getting out of here, man. Thank you so very much for all of your support on the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. If you missed any of the videos that I've uploaded on the channel already, make sure you guys check the description down below. Patreon.com/JDfromNY206. If you guys are happening to listen to this on iTunes, preferably, leave me a 5-star rating. I would absolutely love you for it. So leave me a 5-star rating. Helps out the podcast. If you're listening to me on Spotify, obviously you guys can do that as well. Google Play. We got Podbean and all other major audio platforms. So good stuff there. And, as always, check out my boys, my friends, my buddies over at Harry's, harrys.com/script, and get yourself a value trial set today. All you guys got to do is pay the shipping and handling, and it's the best shave of your life, man. Start shaving better. Start looking like me. Use Harry's. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I'll see you tonight for SmackDown, and we'll see what happens with the IC title tournament. And I'm sure we'll see our good buddy Bruce shit up another Friday night. And then I'll be back on Saturday afternoon, as always, with part 2. It's going to be a doozy, man. We're going to talk about the brand-to-brand invitational during WWE Raw and SmackDown and how WWE just doesn't learn their fucking lesson. Until Saturday, see you guys right back here on part 2 of OTS. See you guys then.